I think it's working now. All right. Welcome to the Bloomington Rotary Club's weekly celebration of service. My name is Tracy Ivanovich. I'm thrilled and honored to serve as your president. Our thought for the day is from Madame Curie. You cannot hope to build a better world without improving the individuals. To that end, each of us must work for their own improvement and at the same time share a general responsibility for all humanity. Our particular duty being to aid those to whom we think we can be most useful. So it reminded me a bit of service above self. So we're going to do a little bit of a change up, and I love the fact that you guys are ready to embrace some change. We're going to have a little different type reflection today. We have a special guest here, JT Waring. JT is going to share with us an update on the Myanmar Water Project. JT is a member of the Rotary Club of Los Angeles. And by the way, just in case you're wondering, Jim, Mr. Rotary wrote this for me, so you could know that it's very detailed and on target. So JT is a member of the Rotary Club of Los Angeles, LA5, and founder, CEO of the Rotary Myanmar Water Management Systems Project, and he's going to give our reflection. Through the Myanmar Water Management Systems Project, Rotarians help residents overcome water quality problems ranging from chemical pollutants to waste from other villages that can cause dysentery, cholera, and other types of sickness and death. JT and his fellow LA5 Rotarians founded the Water Management Systems Project, which began in 2005. A native of Bloomington, JT has first led a Rotary team in March 2005 to document on video the devastation wrought throughout many Asian countries on Boxing Day 2004 at a cost of 270,000 lives. Their on-site filming resulted in a documentary called The Aftermath of a Tsunami. In connection with that mission, he visited Myanmar that spring, where he was introduced to the need for clean water, and in 2006, he founded the current project. Today, Rotarians have completed more than 70 complete water management systems in Myanmar. In recent years, COVID and civil unrest have prevented JT and the team from visiting Myanmar. Since visiting Bloomington in July 2023, JT has visited Southeast Asia countries twice, and he's going to give us a brief report of his finding. In addition, JT is celebrating his 50th, you heard me right, 50th anniversary as a Rotarian, and the cake on the table is in honor, and you guys should feel free to cut into the cake. But I look forward to the day if I can serve 50 years. That's amazing. I also have the oldest record for the Guineas. JT, can you come up and give the reflection, please?
Well, thank you, President Tracy. That was a lovely introduction. I hope I can live up to some small part of it. I've got three different goals to accomplish today. I'll get the simplest one out of the way first. I was obviously elected to Rotary when I was 1 year old, but I'm celebrating this month my 50th anniversary as a Rotarian, which is one of the proudest events of my little life. I'm told that I'm not loud enough. I can't believe that. Can you hear me okay? All right, if you all fall asleep, I'll know you can't. Because July was the anniversary month and I'm not with my club, I'm here with you guys. I thought it was very fitting to celebrate that in Bloomington. So the bottom line of that is there is a great big sheet cake in the back, and I hope that somebody from the kitchen crew will slice it up properly. But please don't leave without having a piece of that cake. It will not fit very well in our car. Roman numeral 2. I want to introduce properly an extraordinary young man that Naylin, well, at first I should second introduce Naylin because you all know him anyway. He's spoken, but Naylin Tut was a former member of our project team in Myanmar and is here now starting his 7th year in the United States as a full-time student at the University of California, Riverside, and planning to major in information technology engineering, which loses me completely. But he is here with us also for about the 6th time in Bloomington. Then we brought with us, kidnapped and shanghaied, an extraordinary young man who is Elijah Ramos. He is 18. He is a resident of Simi Valley, California now. He is, at 18, a college graduate. He is fully admitted to the MS program in SPIA, the School of Public and Environmental Affairs, and a full member of the Rotary Club of Los Angeles, the youngest we have ever elected in 115 years. Round of applause, please. He is going to take a gap year and study, learn cultures in Southeast Asia, focusing in Thailand, and then return here to start school in about the same month of next year. And we'll encourage him, as are Tracy and others, to affiliate with Bloomington Rotary while he's here. As one of you wryly observed, well, that's great. He'll bring down the age average during the time he's here, and that will be good. So please welcome, stand up so they can all see your face. Welcome Elijah Ramos as a visiting Rotarian. Plus, now finally, for my part, that will put you a little bit to sleep, I hope not. As many of you know, and you have been wonderful supporters of that project almost since its inception, of what we named in 2005, the Rotary Myanmar Water Management Systems Project, which basically was to provide clean, safe water for people who didn't have access to it, first in Christian orphanages, and then we moved that onward to Buddhist monasteries because that's the prevalent religion in that country. And then from that, at the direct urging of my friend Aung San Suu Kyi, who became chief of state, villages, because we got more bang per buck in villages, obviously more people served. And we designed a bespoke system that was adaptable, scalable to a variety of environments, both as to terrain and size. So that has worked very well. And as you heard, we've done about 76 of them so far. Now, however, semicolon, things are not getting better in Myanmar. I was there twice since I saw you last, and it's tough. But the Consul General in Los Angeles did not want me going back as I had planned to build the 8 systems we have promised to villages, and those villages are vetted this year, or at least not the first quarter, because of increasing stress and unrest in that society. I didn't like that decision, but I had to go along with it. However, we have a strong committee in LA5, and that committee's leadership said, well, okay, we have harbored a dream for a number of years to extend and expand the program to countries of need with similar socioeconomic characteristics in Southeast Asia, which include but are not necessarily limited to Thailand, Cambodia, and a big prize, the Philippines. So on the trip I recently completed of 6 weeks, I was laying tracks in those 3 countries and was astonished at how great the reception was. We, in fact, are going to have an alliance, a collaborative alliance, with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, otherwise known as the Mormons, which has immense resources for mission work, and they do not tie requirements to that the way many other church groups do. And so they have agreed to pay for all of the high-level filtration systems for the 8 villages, but beyond that, they're going to pay for everything we do in Thailand, and we're hoping they will pay for everything we do in Cambodia for the first year or 2, and we're still negotiating about the Philippines. But bottom line is we are about to now rename ourselves the Rotary Southeast Asia Villages Water Management Systems. Stay tuned, and thank you for your early support. President Tracy.
That is fantastic news. Have some cake. Oh, Dad's already on it. Look at that. Not calling you out. No shame there, Dad. All right. Okay, Sandy, if you could do the guest for us, please.
That was absolutely fascinating and so exciting. Before we introduce guest, I would like to invite Winston Schindel up. He's a past Rotary president, and he is going to have something very exciting for Tracy.
Well, this was unexpected. I'm sorry I missed when Tracy, the program, when she became president, we were out of the country. So, and I had several stories I could tell.
But we don't have time.
But anyway, it's my pleasure to pen you with the president's pen,
Well, thank you.
which you haven't had. So. Now, if I don't,
You want me to do that?
no.
Oh. Okay.
Hold it
This could take time.
here. I'll let you do it.
I think it's safer that way.
Anyway.
Thank you, Dad.
You bet.
Well, I think we should do that again. How often do we have a past president, the father, pin his daughter, our current president? Very cool. And so a lot of our introductions were already made, but I'm going to say them anyway so that you can stand up when we read your name, please. JT Waring, would you please, again, one more time, stand up? We'd like to just applaud you. And Nay Linhut, would you please stand up as well? Elijah Ramos. And Donald Mitchell. Don. And Linda Stipp. And Diana Hoffman, a guest of Liz Feidel. And Linda Weihart, a guest of John Weihart. And Lisa Wicks, wife of Steve Wicks. And do we have any Rotarians online?
We are all Rotarians online. We have no guests here today.
Right, no guest. Right, okay.
Thank you, Sandy. And by the way, there's something disturbing about your father pinning you, I'll just say. But it was very special, Dad. All right, so birthdays, we have Amy Garst and Gerono Rotich on the 17th, Fred Dunn on the 20th, Charlie Osborne and Ashley Wesley on the 21st. And for this week, we don't have any anniversaries. We do have quite a few exciting announcements. Let me first start off in the spirit of a growth mindset and embracing change. Thank you to Claire and to Natalie for the hard work on the invoices as we changed our system over. And thank you to every one of us Rotarians for bearing with the hiccups as we went through it. But I will say that that invoice looks pretty darn good. So very excited about that. Secondly, board meeting this Thursday at Hurler Wealth Management Boardroom. Be there a little bit before noon, please. And the agenda is in the box online. Now, here's the exciting part. Could anyone who worked the Teacher's Warehouse drive this week, and please stand. Oh, hold your applause. We are not done with this. We set a record. We raised over $29,898. And of course, I'm in sales, so I would round that up. We raised $30,000 for Teacher's Warehouse. Now let's give it some applause. It's a record. That is what we call service above self and people in action. And then one last announcement. There is an opportunity for anyone that knows of any children that would be interested in participating either vocally or instrumentally in the opera. Reimagining Opera for Kids is welcoming community members to sing, play, and participate behind the scenes for the 24-25 season. If you look in the roundabout, there will be a link on the roundabout on the left-hand side. So please share that with anyone that you know that may be of interest. And on that note, Connie, could you introduce our program? I'm being pushed for time if you hadn't noticed that.
Oh, that audition, and I'm glad to find out because I just signed up for it, is not just for kids for rock, it's for adults too. Are adults to participate? Can adults sing and play instruments? Okay, and children. What's a weed? Does anyone want to tell me what a weed is? Yes? Yes, exactly. Horticulturists say it's any plant that is where humans don't want it to be. And as we know, invasive plants are those that are invading space where more beneficial living elements could be. Our speaker today, Mary Carol Reardon, is a weed wrangler. She is also an actor, having worked in New York City, Bloomington, and elsewhere. And in 1990, an independent film in which she had a part won an award at the Berlin International Film Festival. While filming, she got to see a section of the Berlin Wall. Mary Carol has been a school teacher, is a hiker, and an environmental activist. She's a certified Sierra Club hike leader and guides other weed wranglers in the Hoosier National Forest, getting rid of invasive weeds that smother our wildflowers, ferns, and paths. And of specific interest to this group, she is a Johnson of the Johnson Creamery family. And I think there are other Johnson Creamery family people here too. I heard they are lowering the smokestack. Does anyone know about that for the safety of the building? Maybe Mary Carol can tell us a bit about what growing up in a family like that was like. Rotarians and guests, I give you not a weed, but a wild flower. Mary Carol Reardon.
Thank you so much, Connie. It's really a privilege and a pleasure to be here and to see so many familiar faces I didn't even know would be here. Yeah, part of the Johnson's Creamery family, growing up in Bloomington, born in Park and Ninth, and grew up in Hoosier Acres. And way back then, Hoosier Acres was lots of pastures with cows. They'd wind up in our backyard. It was easy to go hiking in any woods you want to find. And that actually became my playground. There was a movie in the 60s. It was a Swedish movie called Elvira Madigan. And it was about an escaped tightrope walker. And she escaped from the circus and would go to the woods and put up a rope and go tightrope walking. We thought that was fascinating. So in Hoosier Acres, we put a rope up and would go tightrope walking too. And it was little things like that that just filled my childhood with joy, excitement, and fascination and magic. So Hoosier Acres and the area around was always my playground. So if you fast forward to New York City, where you kind of go if you want to be an actress, or Chicago or LA, but I went to New York. Fabulous place to live when you're a young actress and all that goes with it. But I always had a hankering, a love to be in the woods because that's where my passion is. That's where life begins. So I became a member of the Sierra Club and the Appalachian Mountain Club. And I would go on hikes with them on the weekend. I would learn about backpacking. And it was always a tonic for the grittiness of New York, which is also fascinating. But I always needed that woods to keep me alive and fresh. So when I returned to Bloomington about 20 years ago and taught at Monroe County Schools, Fairview Elementary School as a reading specialist, I was fortunate to still have the woods and to be able to find some fascinating places to go hiking. And one of the places that I always loved, which is right by my house now, I live off of 446, across the 446, and then you go to Pate Hollow. And that was a wonderful place to go hiking. It's about a 6-mile loop. And like I said, it's off of 446 in back of the DNR. And as I was hiking, and I found friends to go hiking with, 2 of my hiking friends are sitting here today, maybe 3, and definitely 3. And we would go hiking together all the time. And I noticed these little sprigs, these little flowers coming up. And I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. And the more I went hiking, the more I would notice these weeds, which became weeds. And later I discovered it was called Japanese stiltgrass. Now, I don't know, most people have it in their yard and may not know it, but it grows, it is prolific. It spreads by seed, and it spreads off of people's feet and also in the wind. But the more and more I loved hiking in Pate Hollow, the more and more all of the hikes, the beautiful trails that I would follow would be overgrown with this Japanese stiltgrass to the point where you'd have to kind of, walk like this because you could hardly get by. So I was so distraught by this, and I loved hiking so much. I became a member of MC Iris, which is Monroe County Identify and Reduce Invasive Species. And their whole idea is to reduce the invasive species around Monroe County so you can have all of the beautiful, beautiful woods to hike in. So they had already started a program at the Hayes Trail, which is another part of the hiking in the Hoosier National Forest. And that's what I'm going to focus on, is eradicating invasives in the Hoosier National Forest, which is the Hayes Trail and Pate Hollow. So they already started that, but they were making some headway on the Hayes Trail, but at the same time, Pate Hollow was getting more and more dense with the Japanese stiltgrass. So I contacted the Hoosier National Forest and I said, can you help me out? I'd love to volunteer. We would love to volunteer with getting rid of the Japanese stiltgrass at Pate Hollow. And the head botanist said, that is fantastic. So the Hoosier National Forest got on board with MC Iris, and we began holding weed wrangles. Now, a weed wrangle is when you get together with people and you find these weeds and you rip them out of the ground. And the thing about Japanese stiltgrass is that it's so easy to pull. The roots are very, very shallow, and you just can easily just pull them out of the ground. And if you feel like coming up later, you can, but the problem is that when you get all of this stiltgrass, it crowds out all of the native wildflowers and the ferns, and this is what the little critters live on. This is what the insects, what the animals live on, and they use for cover. And this is why, one reason why it's so important to weed it out. And also there's a picture up here, if you want to come up, about a beautiful path that has been totally overtaken by Japanese stiltgrass. So we started in Pate Hollow, and like I said, it's 6 miles, and we began pulling out the weeds. And the thing about when you first start pulling Japanese stiltgrass, you can just pull them out and then just kind of hang them over a little tree stump. Oh, and you can hang them over a tree stump. And they don't spread because they spread by, like I said, the weeds. So there's a picture up here of taking the weeds and then putting them over a tree stump. And they just dry up, and then that's all there is. If the Japanese stiltgrass goes to seed, then you have to bag it and carry it out. But this is the time to go on a weed wrangle in the Hoosier National, Pate Hollow, and Hayes Trail, because you can bag up, you can just pull up all of this stiltgrass and put it on a weed and you're done for. I mean, put it on a log and then that's all it is. So we started out, we would get like maybe, like a half a mile in and half a mile out, because we usually go like from 8 till 10 and 8 till 12 in the morning. Then the more we got into the Pate Hollow, you'd have to walk in farther. So you'd have to walk maybe 1.5 miles in to get the stiltgrass, and then you'd have less time pulling it. So where we are now, we're at the middle of Pate Hollow. So like 3 miles in on either side. So you have to hike in 3 miles to get the stiltgrass, and that's a good 1.5 hours, maybe 2.5 miles. And that's a good 1.5 hours to hike in, and then you pull and then you get out. So what we're going to do this year, because this is an annual pull, weed wrangle pull, we're hiring a boat, a pontoon boat, and you catch it at Lake Monroe. And we're going to drive out to the part where is most massive, the stiltgrass, and we're going to then disembark and pull out the weeds and hang them on a tree trunk and then just drive back on the boat. So that is the way we're going to attempt it this year. The other thing is there's a lot of ticks and a lot of chiggers, but if you wear the right clothes, like put your permethrin clothes or wear insect repellent clothes, then you're really good. I was out all last summer and I never got any bites at all, which is tremendous. The other thing is there's an amazing, great camaraderie when you're with people who also love the woods and adore. It's such a good feeling to get rid of this stuff, because after having pulled this for about 5 years, except for that one dense patch, it is pretty much it is grossly eradicated. It's really so lessened. And the thing about stiltgrass is you have to keep on it because it stays, the seed bank, it stays in the ground for 5 years. And so you've got to keep at it. But after a while, it is gone, which is the good thing. So little by little, just the common ordinary person can get it done. And we have anywhere from 5 to maybe 12 people show up at a session, at a group. And again, there's great camaraderie because we all are hikers and we love to be outside. And the other thing we do, I'm also part of the Sierra Club. And another invasive, which we have really taken a good care of eradicating, is the multiflora rose. It's huge. It's amazing. It came to be through landscapers because it's great. It grows, and it's wonderful for erosion, but it spreads horribly. And if you go to the Hayes Trail in the Hoosier National, it has really overtaken. It had overtaken so much of the beautiful wildflowers, but and also these are not native. And the other thing about stiltgrass is that it came over. It was introduced to the United States from China in the early 1900s, and it was a packing material. So you would order things from China and it would be packed in the stiltgrass. And when you're done with, the packing, you throw it out in the 1900s. And so what happened is that just evolved to really infiltrate people's yards. And the same with multiflora. It was brought over from landscapers because, again, it grows fast. It looks good in the yard. So what we have done is there's a picture up here before and after. And initially, and we have taken out some multiflora in Pate Hollow as well. And the way to take that out is you can pull it or you can stump cut it and use an herbicide on it, but only if you're in Pate Hollow. Because if you're in the Hayes Trail in the Charles Dean Wilderness, you cannot use herbicides, you cannot use a chainsaw, you can't use anything electrical. You have to keep it in tune with the Wilderness Act. So when we went to the Hayes Trail, and I'm also a member of the Sierra Club, and we have adopted the Hayes Trail, which is a stunning, it's all beautiful. And there's a portion of the Hayes Trail which used to be just overgrown with multiflora rose, but we have eradicated it. And again, you cannot use herbicide in the Dean Wilderness, the wilderness. So we've pulled it, and so many people have shown up. A group of 12 at 12, 5 to 12, maybe 6 to 12 at a time. We've pulled out the multiflora, and sometimes that is really a challenge. And I've got pictures of like 5 of us pulling it out together. Or you can cut it, but again, you can't use an herbicide on it. So once you cut it, and you keep going back, it will eventually die. So we have cleared off all of the multiflora on this gorgeous stretch of wildflowers, stunning wildflowers with blue-eyed Marys, bluebells, wood poppies, Guyandotte beauties, fire pinks, Jacob's ladders, drooping trilliums, larkspur, just to name a few. But it's very magical to walk among the wildflowers. Again, you need to walk in about 5 miles, walk in 2.5 and walk out 2.5. It's worth it, and it's not hard. So what we have done is we've taken these out, and the beauty is that we go back then year after year, and if there are some sprigs, we pull those out as well. And this year we went back, and there were a few sprigs, but really not that many because we'd done a really good job. What is our challenge this year is that with the storm of June 25th, it pretty much, it did a number on Pate Hollow. So Pate Hollow is closed right now. We are hoping, and I spoke with the Hoosier National about this because they're out there with chainsaws and cutting down all the trees. Not all the trees, the ones that have fallen, to clearing out the paths. And we're hoping that we can go in there again this year on July 31st. It's possible we can do that, so we'll just have to take it at a time. And the challenge again with the Hayes Trail is you can't use chainsaws in the Hayes Trail. So they're out there with those 2 people saws. We'll see how that comes along too. But this is, again, I just want to say that there's no reason on earth, I guess there is, but how can you be a New York City actress and then just love to do this? Well, why not? We're all just kind of everything. I like what I heard Tracy say, service before, what was that? Service above self. Oh, that is wonderful. I've heard different iterations of that, but that just really struck me today. Nobody gets famous pulling weeds, but it is such an amazing sense of accomplishment and the camaraderie that springs up. You share stories about yourself. And I have a picture here of Linda Weikart and I on a hike in the woods where there is no stilt grass. Just the peace of mind you get from being in the woods and from listening to the birds and everything and seeing the wildflowers and the ferns. I mean, that is something that makes life very rich. Bloomington certainly very, very, very rich. So I think that I have said really all I have to say. I have some brochures up there. I have my card. I'm a Sierra Club hiking leader. Please, if you want to go on a hike, we will have great fun. We'll tailor make it for, whatever you want to do. Yes, we could lead a Rotarian hike. That would be fun. And over here, I have just the schedule of the weed wrangles right here, and I've left some of those cards up there. So, my goodness, you've been a captive audience. You've all kept your heads looking up here. I love that. Well, I want to thank you. And if you have any questions, I would love to answer them. So there you go.
Oh, thank you, Mary Carol. So interesting. Japanese knotweed. We had that a lot in New York. Do we have that here?
Yes, we do. It's no fun.
And do you also pull other things besides the stiltweed?
We do pull other things, but in the Hoosier National, that's what I'm focusing on. We focus on the Japanese stiltgrass and the multiflora rose. But Bloomington Parks and Rec, I've been on a lot of their weed wrangles as well. They pull everything, that is invasive around the parks too. So that is definitely there. So
Thank you.
And MC Iris, we have a brochure out there. They will come to your house and identify whatever weeds you have there. And they will help you and take a brochure and then call them up to make an appointment for them to come to your house and identify everything. That's how I first knew about them. They came to my house and I identified these things, and then they're really nice people. And one thing led to another, and you have friends, so yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Mary Carol, do you all, for the wildflowers that grow, do you all reseed those, or do they come up naturally?
They come up naturally. It's amazing. It's astounding. When we got rid of the multiflora, and it's like a corridor of wildflowers. Yeah, Lisa and I have hiked there many times, and it's a corridor of amazing wildflowers. And when you get rid of those horrible multiflora roses, they've been sleeping, they just come up. So it's really something. And plus, you're not allowed to reseed in the wilderness, but they're doing it on their own.
I have 2 questions. Why are herbicides like Roundup not allowed to be used? Because they'd be really effective. And the second question is, what is that invasive plant on 446?
I'm not sure which one you're referring to, but the first question is, they do use a pre-emergent in Pate Hollow. The Hoosier National, the the Hoosier National will use a pre-emergent in Pate Hollow. I don't think it's around glyphosate.
Yeah,
Uh,
I use, because I use that on that grass and it's really effective.
Sure, yeah.
And there's an invasive vine that's off of 446 by the cap and that's covering a bunch of trees. You know what that is?
I know what you're talking about, and I don't know what that is. Yeah. Oh,
Yes, I wonder if you can tell us what other things might be repopulating the area besides the plants, right? So are other animals coming back as a result of the eradication of the things you're eradicating, or is it just the plant life?
well, I know for sure the plant life is coming back. I can't speak to the animals though, but I would imagine so because certainly the insects are coming back, and that feeds the butterflies, you know. So that is certainly part of the whole population. Yeah.
Mary Carroll, two questions. First of all, can you share some of your favorite hikes on maybe lesser known trails in Monroe County and the surrounding counties? And then the second is possible expansion of Hoosier National Forest, what that really means.
Yeah, the first one about the hikes is there's beautiful hikes in Monroe County. And when you get into the Hayes Trail area, the Dean Wilderness, there's a wonderful hike up to Patton Cave, again, which is a stunning hike. And then also in the Hoosier National, there's a tremendous 6-mile loop called Sycamore Loop. And then also in the Hoosier National, there's the Peninsula Trail, which is also closed now because of that. When you get into in the Brown County area, there's you get the Laura Hare Nature Preserve. And also around here, of course, you've got Griffey, and you've got Greens Bluff, which is in the area. So there's just too many places to go. In terms of the Dean Wilderness, that is on the table right now. Governor, Holcomb has, Governor Braun has, not governor, oh, please help me out, Senator. Well, I'm sorry, it's a bad word. Okay, I'm not don't do that. Anyway, it was introduced into the Senate to expand the Hoosier, the Dean Wilderness. And it looks like it's on the table right now to expand that. That will include more areas of protected land for hiking. And one of those hiking areas is the Nebo Ridge Trail, which is stunning. And Lisa and I have done that. And it's 8 miles one way. And what we did was we were a group of about 8 gals, and you got the north end and the south end. And 4 of us met on the south end and 4 of us met on the north end. And we met in the middle and we exchanged car keys and then we hiked back out. So that was great fun. But now, but hopefully we will get that the Dean Wilderness Bill passed, because that will open up a lot of more protected area in the Hoosiers. So
you're working along the trails. Are you going any further back into the woods where the stilt grass and the other things must have spread as well?
we do, because we can't help ourselves. When we see it, we got to go get it. But the main thing also is that we want to keep it off the trails, because it winds up on people's feet, on their boots, and they can track it. You know, they can track it away. It can spread that way. So we focus on keeping the trails clean. But, again, when we're so enthusiastic and we see something out there, we often just divert. But no, we do focus on the trails, yeah.
Thank you so much for your wrangling. I don't quite understand the putting it on a log. I would think that rain or animals could get it and it would recede again. Could you explain that a little?
Sure, that's a really good question. The reason we can pull the stilt grass and then just lay it on a log, there are no seeds at that point. So it will not spread. So that's how, when we come back years after, we often find, brown stilt grass on a log. Because if it hasn't gone to seed, then it won't propagate. That's why this is the time to get it before it's gone to seed. And it pulls out so fast, so quickly. You just, you need to have good, you just kind of pull it and have a bunch and you put it on a log and then you see this gorgeous area. And that's why, yeah.
I just wondered what your opinion is of the logging that is done in the Hoosier National Forest, which I'm personally opposed to. But of course, the DNR's claims, oh, it's better for the forest, but of course, the forest did very well before they were settled. I'd just like to know what the truth is.
Well, the truth is somewhere, got to be somewhere in between. My own personal opinion is the logs have been there, the trees have been there. I mean, we had 8 huge oak trees come down in our backyard, and we live over by the watershed. So those have been taken care of. So I understand what you're saying, but I don't have all of there are 2 really strong camps. The Hoosier National is for logging, and I know the Indiana Forest Alliance is not for logging. And they're both very strong in what they say. So it depends on which camp you really agree with. Thank you.
So I wondered I hear a lot about honeysuckle. Do you find honeysuckle out there and what do you do with it?
Well, I haven't found it in Pate Hollow and in Hayes Trail. But absolutely, again, in town, my friend Jillian Field works with the Wranglers in town, and they will go after everything.
Could you spell stilt grass for me, please?
Yeah, STILTGRASS. That's the second part of it. Yeah, and it's all one word, and the first word is Japanese. Yeah.
Is there any questions online?
I don't see any questions right now.
Any more in the room?
Very Carol, thank you so much.
Thank you.
For the presentation. We will be making a donation, and this is very appropriate, to New Leaf, New Life of $100 in honor of your program per quarter. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. It's amazing.
All right. So as you all know, we can never have the programs that we have without the help of all the people who, oh, and by the way, back up. Just to be clear, service above self is a Rotary statement. That's not my own concoction. That is how we operate as Rotarians. And in leading with service above self, we have several people here who've helped us today. First of all, we have Natalie Blaze, who does all our assistant work. We had Sandy Keller pulling double duty again with greeting and introducing guests. We have Claire Kess, thank you for doing our online service. JT Waring for the lovely reflection and all the work you're doing with Myanmar. Thank you. Glenda Murray, the reporting, which is not easy, so thank you for that. And Michael Shermis for running the mic and camera. And of course, Tyler Martin Nichols, who does all our audio. And with that, our next meeting will be on the 23rd, and it will be here in the Frangipani room. And the topic is, given the tragic events of this weekend, I think the topic couldn't be more appropriate. Our speaker will be Dawn Bird of the Braver Angels. And for those of you who don't know, the Braver Angels are working towards efforts to depolarize America. So let's all show up for that. That should be an interesting talk. And with that, Tyler, if you could put on the board and I'll stand. 4-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? And fifth, is it fun? Thank you.